fisting circle.
Queer spaces are very comfortable.
Andy Kaufman was a deeply subversive comedian. You might say the first troll.
I was afraid it was going to be man-hating.
You can do what you want to whenever you want to. When the story of girl EDM is finally written. That is Nina Gerra.
It sounds awesome. Like I'm really excited about this.
Salvador Dali threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi. It got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather. We're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
You're Ione Sky.
And you're Ben Lee.
And this is Weirder Together podcast.
Hey, beautiful babies.
Hope you're all doing fine out there. Feels like we're doing real radio this morning.
Why? What part?
I don't know, just the idea of picturing your list. How do you picture the beautiful babies? Do you picture
Well, I just
them?
met one, so that's why I was doing a shout out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what was he, she, they doing?
She said she's a beautiful baby.
Okay, amazing. And does she listen in the car while she's doing dishes? Does she pleasure herself? Does
Oh
she,
my
what's it?
God.
No, I want it to be wide open. It could be anything.
She was the lady who looked like your cousin Temney a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's why
right.
I
The
went,
journalist
oh.
from The Guardian. Okay, he just did an
Yes.
interview with. Oh, she
Yeah.
listens to the pod?
That's why I was sort of, what's the word? Not blushing, but, dismissing the,
You didn't want to work blue.
no.
No, with that. Yeah, I get
We
that.
did talk a lot about the sex scenes in my memoir.
Okay. Was she into them?
Yeah, she liked them a lot.
Okay, cool.
And then she asked if I could do what's that test? The
Oh, no, Bechdel.
Bechdel test.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I would pass in my
The book, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're meant to not be thinking or talking about a man
that's right.
in any scene. But my book's so much about my father. And I feel like there must be a couple scenes where there's no men.
Looming presence.
Is it like no men or just no mentions?
The Bechdel's in it test is, I think, a scene playing out like in a movie or something where a man is not the subject of conversation or in the scene.
Or thoughts. That's difficult with a memoir because there's many ways for a man to be in there. You might be thinking about a man, talking about a man, or a man might be in there.
Also, do you remember?
There's got to be a ton that aren't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, some of the lesbo scenes. Probably,
Yeah, like the Women's Michigan Festival.
Oh, men were not. But
No
in
men.
a way, it's negative space that in a way, when you create a
So
women-only safe space,
much of a lack of men that it's a big
it's
presence.
decisively.
But
yeah.
you're not even meant to bring at the Women's Michigan Festival, which probably is not happening, even music by a man. Like I had a mixed tape.
What about podcasts?
There was it was CDs, but maybe it was a mixed CD. No podcasts yet in the world because it was the 90s. And I had some men on my mixed CD or whatever it was. And my friend was like, oh no, you can't play men.
What was the man? Which man?
Probably it was, could have been Dylan. It could have been a lot of The Cure.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot of things.
That's fair. I always like the idea of actually like, I guess growing up in Riot Girl and that, like women having spaces or women at the front of punk shows where they weren't worried about getting jumped on by men and all that. I felt like that
queer
felt
spaces are
appropriate.
very comfortable. This was not, I was afraid to go to this festival because I was afraid it was going to be man hating. Wasn't man hating at all. It was women loving. So it didn't feel against men because I don't like being against men. I love men.
No.
I was nervous it was going to be like angry, but it wasn't.
Would you describe in the big, you've described before, the big fisting circle? Was that
I like
a
that your
safe
memory is a big
space?
fisting circle.
Yeah,
It
well,
wasn't.
yeah.
I didn't see it, or I temporarily blinded myself.
Okay.
No, there were different campgrounds that all had different names, and one was called the Twilight Zone, and that one was like kind of raunchy. So the first night I arrived, there was like a rave, and there was a beautiful woman DJing with like people had their tops off, and it was like very fun and young and lots of pretty women, and I was like, whoa. And as the week went by, there was all different types. There was, different types of people.
You're
women.
saying they let them in stages?
No,
it was like
just
a gateway
the
drug.
more-
They
it
show
was-
them
it-
mostly.
Yeah, something happened. I arrived at night, so that I was like, oh, this is like, yeah, okay, this is like the movie version of what all men would like it to be. And then it became, so there was this one area that people were literally roasting a pig on a thing that goes around and whatever.
Spit, I believe they're
spit.
called, yeah.
And I heard there was like fisting with these big women fisting each other. And I did not look at that because, you know, I was afraid.
Well, well, speaking of like
No
deep,
shame, just didn't need to.
when you talk about elfin women DJing in the forest,
Yeah.
we have a guest on today's
I
pod who's coming up
know.
later who it would not surprise me if she has done some DJing in a forest somewhere. I don't know if there was a fisting circle, but
No,
we
I'm
can
sure
get
of it.
into that.
Yeah.
But before we do, a couple things I want to
Yes,
talk about on the
yes.
Weirder Together radar this
Yeah.
week. Ooh, that's a kind of nice phrase. I like calling it that, the Weirder Together radar. New Andy Kaufman documentary, Thank You Very
Yes.
Much, has come out. It's on Apple TV, directed by someone named Alex Braverman. And for those who don't know who Andy Kaufman was, started out on SNL in the very beginning, like first episode of SNL, went on to star in Taxi, though he's a more mainstream showings, but he was a deeply subversive comedian. You might say the first troll comedian who actually kind of wanted you to hate him.
Yeah.
Huge influence on me. Harmony Korine turned me on to him in like 96 and changed my life. How did you feel about the doco?
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Taxi lover. I didn't know much about the Andy Kaufman lore. I just grew up watching him on Taxi as this adorable character.
Latka Gravis?
Yeah. So I didn't know until I got older. I thought the documentary was amazing because it was interesting to try to understand the psychology of what space and why he was trying to hold the space and make people uncomfortable. And it was just fascinating. It reminded me a lot of you. Like I could see why
He was
you
a big
love-
influence on me. Yeah.
but also your makeup. Like you weren't as to that degree of his commitment to doing these things that made people uncomfortable. But you are kind of interested in that. And I think that in the documentary, it's sort of like there was a big betrayal in his childhood. But I think it's also being oppressed. Like if you feel you've been oppressed in your family, whether it's just very conservative or this or that, his wasn't too conservative. But I think there's like this huge need to like, you know, be a punk in a sense.
Yeah, he was very punk. He wanted to punish his audience in a
Yeah.
sense, which I always related to. I
Yes,
love that.
that's what reminded me of you, like the punishing your audience aspect.
And the other thing
You don't
that
do
was,
that anymore, but you've just given it up.
But you know what? I do it in more subtle ways that I think are more enjoyable to
You
the audience.
punish me. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
But one of the
You
things,
don't punish
one of the
me.
other things I relate to him about is that his provocation, the way his art danced on the line of sort of violence, was essentially spiritual for him. Like he was a deep meditator.
Yeah.
And he was interested in holding on to his center during an earthquake, essentially. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like being in a provocative situation with people wanting to beat him up or being, very
And
provoked.
he put people in an interesting space that could become meditative. Like when you take too long to deliver the punchline, there's a space that the audience is in, and it's an altered space because they're not using their thinking mind or their feelings that they normally go to. Like, I'm at a show and I'm going to laugh or I'm going to do this. Like, everyone's in this kind of particular space.
I think that's exactly right. I think it's something about when you pull the rug out from under people and what they thought something was going to be like, or the way a joke was meant to go, or
Yeah.
a scene, you suddenly drop an audience into this space where they don't know what reality is. And it's a deeply existential
And he
experience.
he did take it too far, but that was the whole thing.
And it's funny now because troll culture, I mean, America has a troll president. Like,
Yeah.
troll culture has dominated the world and the internet. So seeing this early example, you're tempted to almost feel like, oh, it's so dated. But the essence of what he was interested in, which was pushing people to a place of truth in a way, I think it still totally holds up.
I know. He was so brilliant. Like, he didn't only do uncomfortable things. He also was like one of the best comedians when he did just straight comedy also and straight comedic acting. He was like very good actor, very good comedian. So he also gave people joy. But anyway, it was fascinating.
So see it.
Yeah,
Andy
so
Kaufman.
good.
It's called Thank You Very Much,
It's
based
a
on his
good
Thank You Very
documentary.
Much catchphrase
Oh, yeah.
of
Say that
foreign
again?
men. Thank you very much.
It's well done.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth seeing. The other thing that we were just listening to in the car is the new Jeffery Lewis album, who's like an anti-folk hero. He was a huge influence on like Joanna Sternberg, the Moldy Peaches, Lou Barlow, Beck. And he put out a new album called The Even More Freewheeling Jeffery Lewis. And we were listening to this song called Do What Comes Natural. And I just want to share a few of these lyrics because they're really, really interesting. So it starts, they say, do what comes natural. Just be the real me. Follow the true you inside of your head. But if I did what comes natural, I'd just be a black hole. I'd never get dressed or even get out of bed. And this is where he goes, who wants to book concerts or check in at airports or write out a set list or find where to park or talk about money or memorize lyrics or drive when it's bright out or drive in the dark? Why be a nice guy? Why be responsive? Why be responsible to family or friends? Even if I did something, it's never just one thing. I'd have to do something else after the first something ends.
I know.
What do you think?
Amazing poetry, almost like Shel Silverstein in a weird way. Really amazing writing.
Amazing
so
writing.
depressed. It's a depressed character. Hopefully it's not the real him, but
it's pretty close, but yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like the writing is so good and the way he delivers the song is so great because it's so clearly it just sounds like a doom scrolling type of personality person. Nihilistic. So, but it's such good writing.
You know,
listening to it, I wasn't depressed, but obviously the lyrics are so depressing.
Well, that's the thing. I think when nihilism is done well, I'm thinking
the
of
French writers.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking of the Elliott Smith song, "The Ballad of Big Nothing." You can do what you want to whenever you want to, but it don't mean a thing. Like nihilism done well is actually hopeful,
right?
Because there's still art being made. Okay. At the end of the day, this isn't somebody sitting depressed by themselves. They're putting it in a song.
Right.
And when you make art, even out of depression, you alchemize it and it becomes something.
Yeah.
And that's the subtext that we're actually listening to a song.
I know. That's right. Because as I was hearing it, I was like, well, they're singing this well. They have a band behind them and they're made a song. So they're not doing nothing, but they can't be that depressed.
But isn't it nice that someone can still get motivated, do it, but still I don't know, just create a space for the audience to admit just our sense of hopelessness.
Yes.
In the face of our to-do lists.
I know. And that writing, it was so good. What the word play or the word sound, it's just so satisfying the way he wrote these words.
Well, I think it's time for our guest.
Yes.
When the story of girl EDM is finally written, and it will be written, generations ahead will study it in school. It'll be required syllabus. But when that textbook is written, there is one central figure, protagonist, a hero. Am I using that word too loosely? I don't think so. And that is Ninajirachi. And she is here with us today.
Wow, thank you. That was the craziest intro ever.
I know.
Thank you.
That was fab.
Girl EDM. What is it?
It's the name of my music release from last year. And it kind of started because I played a show with my friends in Los Angeles last year. I already had the music and it had a different name. And then we were just all girls playing an EDM show and we just were joking that it was the girl EDM show because there's not really that many girls usually at those kind of shows. And we just kept saying it as a joke and it was a better title than the one I had. So I used it. And
so I'm really elevating it to a sense of importance that you do not ascribe to. Because I viewed it more as I think it said something about what you want to do in the world.
I think I think it does. Yeah. Sorry, I'm more mean in the sense that it has humble beginnings.
Yeah, humble beginnings, grand endings. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where it came from. And people fans of my music just seem to really like it and identify with it and stuff. And I do too. So it feels really good. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, I think because, we're obviously older and we didn't you know, we talk a lot about how we didn't really we weren't at raves. We weren't, it was like a
Have
parallel.
you been to some or?
Well, I've been to the one at our house that Nina played. I
Right.
mean, I've been to some EDM
And we
things,
went to Heaven.
We went to Heaven, yeah.
That was a rave, right?
Semi. Is that,
Semi.
you wouldn't call that a rave?
Heaven in
Yeah,
LA.
yeah.
Oh, I love Heaven.
Yeah, you played it, right? Remember, I bought tickets. We were working together, and I was like, everyone's telling me to go to this. You were like, you've got to go to it.
Yeah, I haven't played Heaven, but I've been a bunch of times. It was my first time overseas, and my first time going to a show by myself was seeing Sophie, rest in peace, play at Heaven in 2019, and it was like life-changing.
Amazing.
It was so good.
Oh, that was so fun.
That was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, Sophie, can you explain a little bit about the importance of Sophie in where we find ourselves now musically and stuff? Because I just feel like so many artists like Charlie, there's so many people who just say Sophie was it. That was the moment where they what was it about Sophie that affected everyone so profoundly?
Yeah, literally. I mean, I don't know if I'm equipped to speak to everyone's experience with Sophie, but I found Sophie's music when I was 14, 15. I was doing a week of year 10 work experience at FBI Radio in Sydney, and Sophie's first album had just come out, and they were playing the song Hard. It was on rotation, and I just, I was already I was kind of primed to like it because I was already listening to a lot of kind of SoundCloud music and EDM and stuff, and yeah, it just was so brain scratching. I just never heard anything like it. And that was also when she was anonymous. I don't know if she had come out at that point. She wasn't showing her face a lot. I think she was having people stand in for her at DJ sets and stuff, which is really kind of awesome as well. But yeah, she's just so legendary. I mean, that's personally my experience of how I found her music, and I've been following her since then. And yeah, she's one of my heroes forever, for real. Yeah.
Amazing. So I guess for me, I met you through Grace Mulrat, basically. Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. And Grace, I think of as one of the just impeccable curators
Literally.
in pop culture. So
Yeah.
I always anything she's turned on to, I'm always oh, there's something in that. So check it out. But I guess what blew me away particularly about getting in the studio with you and watching you work, was that you work your computer the way a brilliant guitarist would work their instrument or something. It's this mix of technical ability and intuitive music making. And I guess I just am so curious about growing up from the computer being your first instrument. You know what I mean? That is so, to people our age, that's so foreign. Can you just talk a little bit about that? It's just so fascinating to me.
Oh, thank you. That's so cool that you talk about it that way, because I do feel like it's kind of my instrument. And I think maybe for people in my generation, we kind of all look up to people like Skrillex, who are maybe the same, just laptop musicians, and people like him kind of legitimized that as an art form and stuff. So I kind of am happy to be in the generation where that's normal and it's a thing, and I have a lot of peers who work that way as well. But yeah, the piano was my first instrument, but I guess it's maybe tactile in a similar way to the computer. So yeah, I just kind of use a keyboard and a trackpad a lot of the time, and it was just kind of what was available to me when I was little, I guess. I would just use the desktop computer, and then I got my first laptop when I was in high school, and yeah, it was just kind of YouTube and figuring. It was just a toy, really. And I still play the piano for leisure every now and then, but I just feel it's I can do so much more just inside the computer. I don't really feel like I need anything else. It's always nice to I like to sample voices and stuff, because it makes music feel so much more familiar when there's a voice on it, even if it's kind of mangled up and stuff. But yeah, I really love my computer so much. I don't know I don't know what if I would be able to make anything. I mean, maybe I would, but without it, it just feels so central to the kind of music I make and my practice and stuff.
Yeah, and that extends to, I think, the references and stuff. We've talked a lot about how much internet culture informs your music. And I mean, do you feel, it's interesting because your music to me also has this pagan nature
quality
to it.
That's sick. Thank you so much.
Don't you think? I mean, I think that's it's got a that's what we're saying, like a forest feeling. Like
Sick. That's
anyway,
so
I guess
sick.
I'm just so curious about like doing work that is so much about looking at a screen, but also tapping into sort of more nature forces, like witchy kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Does that feel like a conflict, or it all goes together?
I think it all goes together for me, I guess, because my parents are big music lovers, and I grew up hearing the electronic music that they were into, like Prodigy and Daft Punk and Kylie Minogue and people like that. But then also I'm from the Central Coast, and it's all just kind of like rock and folk music there, or like
it's Bogans.
radio. Yeah, it's
the RSL. I play all those places.
Yeah,
I know
okay,
the
you get
audience
it.
as well.
Yeah, I'm from like a pretty Bogan family and area, and
we
it's
love
all
Bogans.
Yeah, it's guitar music and stuff. So yeah, that's, I guess I kind of grew up surrounded by that. And even like Alt J is like one of maybe my favorite band ever, and that's kind of more folk indie music and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I just grew up around nature a lot, and maybe that kind of leaks in a little bit. But then I also just grew up online and with my laptop and stuff. So to me, it makes perfect sense that it all kind of blends together in the one thing. But yeah, maybe does it seem weird to you from the outside? Yeah.
Well, once you record your stuff, you're working through computers and stuff. So it's the same thing. You're working with sound, but so you're working just through computers, but with the sound that you.
Totally. I think I'm just kind of thinking a lot about how just our connection to nature as a feeling, especially as artists, it's like so important. And about how
Did you take an edible today?
No, this is stuff I think about, like with her music and stuff. But I would like an edible though. But no, I guess
Sounds like you don't need one.
No, I'm just thinking about how, this idea of like the singularity, that like we're merging to a point with technology, and that there is something mystical and shamanic that happens with electronic music, with technology, that on the surface you might feel that technology takes us away from. But then you get into like what happens in a room when people are dancing, and like it's a very, I don't know, it feels like a very spiritual thing. And with the stuff I've seen of people get into an altered state. It's not just drugs.
No,
It's like there's something happens that's...
Well, music has always put people in altered states, but it's interesting what you're saying. I think people were first fearful when technology came into the world in general, and then you had all these sci-fi movies about, robotic people who have no feelings anymore just because technology is all of a sudden in someone's life. So it's interesting that...
Yes, there's a duality. I guess that's what, thank you. You said it better than I did.
Really, I think it's just the fear people had a fear, in the 60s or 50s or whenever that was happening, where computers like, oh no, the computer will take, but it's really just a instrument. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what I'm saying, that my experience of working with Nina is that it's one of the closest things I've felt to an organic process in digital electronic music.
Wow, that is so cool to hear.
But I feel like that's what you do. Like it's a very intuitive, natural process.
Yeah.
And I guess I just am so curious about like how you ended up there, when a lot of people become like mathematicians and their way that they construct.
Well, because she's good. That's what.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, make a conversation. The edible just hit. Like I said, no.
Well, I think it's, I guess for me, like I don't know, I don't really have that fear around it taking over. I almost feel like it would be more efficient if I could like merge further with it, because right now the quickest way from the brain to page is through the laptop, but it's limited by the bandwidth of even just like the architecture of the machine. Like I'm always thinking about like kind of butterfly effect stuff. Like if my trackpad was an inch wider, for better or for worse, like how would that affect the like the exchange between like my hands and you know what I mean? Like just all of that kind of like the extra milliseconds it takes to drag something here and there and stuff. And it's also like Ableton as well, like the software I use. I've used a bunch of different softwares, and there's really no like, I'm not trying to sell Ableton to anyone, but
it's
like
not like you ever worked for them or anything.
No, yeah. Oh my God, no, not at all. But yeah, I'm not trying to like shill for any company or whatever. But for me, that's like when I started using Ableton when I was around 18. I was using other stuff before that. It, I think, just worked the best for me. And I started becoming very fast. Other people would maybe fast in other things, but that software for me is like so special. And I feel like I can do anything with it.
So does the idea of like things implanted in your brain and that, does that excite you?
Yes.
You would do that?
I mean, I don't know because I don't know what I don't, you know, at this like point right now, it's like we don't know what sacrifices we would have to make.
Right.
But in theory, it sounds kind of awesome because it would just be like maybe a more efficient version of what I'm doing now in like the music making sense. But I don't know. I don't want to say yes because who knows what could go wrong.
My feeling is certainly like I would wait for you to do it. If you do it and it goes off seamlessly, I'll get that implant.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Would you do that? You would not get anything implanted in your brain.
No, I would see if I would see if it have to be tested first, but sure. I would do it.
And so should we talk about what I am?
Yeah.
All I am. What I am. All I am. What's the song called?
All I am.
All I am.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you are.
Well, because it's your newest single, and it was such a joy, the whole experience, and it's been such a joy watching it catch on around the world.
You guys worked together.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
I'm just filling in.
Yeah. Well,
the audience.
yeah. What you want to talk about your experience of it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, we had met at Woods' show, and then I played at the party at your house, and then you invited me over to make music, and we'd made some music, and you were having like these group jam sessions at your home studios with a bunch of all different people who make music so differently to me. And it was this the second one or the first one?
Yeah, this was the second day.
Second one.
Yeah.
Second day, yeah. And it was so epic. And I think I was just at like the station. I was just kind of like the input output machine, and you guys were playing and recording anything and everything. And I actually I was listening to the V1 just before when I was sitting over there, and I was like, man, this is so different to what we ended up with. Because I think we were just recording a bunch of stuff and putting it down, like all five of us, and then we had a break for lunch, and then everyone got a little sleepy, and I think I was just looping something and adding like synth stuff to it because it was all audio before that. It was all like real recorded stuff, but I was just adding kind of MIDI and it was on a loop, and it got very like meditative, and it just kind of turned into this thing. It was so cool.
And I remember us all sort of like lying down, just like listening to you tweaking it and processing it, and
it was so cool. Like it would be so fun to make music like that, like every time. Like it's just so. It's it's so like ephemeral and serendipitous. It can't always be that magical, but that day was so awesome, and the song was just an amazing accident. It was so because we didn't go there being like we're gonna make this thing and this is the goal.
It wasn't to make stuff for you necessarily.
No,
it was like it might be for me or for
we're
Alex or whoever. Just making music.
Yeah.
I know. I want to have more experiences like that where you're just making things and then they can go out various methods of distribution, whatever's most appropriate.
Yeah.
But it's the making it that's the...
Yes, exactly. And that was what was cool because we didn't finish the day by being like, oh, this is going to be Nina's single in February 2025. Like this was almost like a year and a half ago. And we just kind of left and then I made like a little edit of it because I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to like play it at shows because it's a good way to... see how people react to stuff, and people started really liking it at the shows and replying to stories and being like, what is this? Or I was trying to Shazam this, what is it? And they couldn't find it because it wasn't out, obviously. And then honestly, it was the first, it was the once I started getting that kind of reaction to it, I knew I kind of had to save it for like it wasn't the sort of thing I was like, I'm going to get this out right now. It's like, I want to finish this and have a video and make it like it feels like a song that people are going to like.
Have you been touring alone or do you tour with other people like festival-y type? Not festival-y type, but like there must be tours where you like have a bunch of people obviously.
Yeah, she just did a co
thing, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a bit it's kind of like all of the shows this year have not been by myself. The first shows I had were supporting Porter Robinson in Australia, and that was amazing. And I was touring with Tom, my VJ, and Aria tour manager and photographer, and also all of Porter's crew. And then we had Laneway Festival, and it was the same, like the three of us, me, Tom, and Aria. And there was also all the festival people. And we also had my friend Stacey, who was helping manage everything the first weekend. And then we went to America, and then I was on like a co-headline tour with Umru. There was 2 shows where Umru wasn't there. One was like I was supporting Rez, and another one was just like I had a solo headline show in Philly. But other than that, it was all me and Umru and Aria as well. She's American, so she was with us the whole time.
And in Denver was at the Red Rocks. What's that place called?
Oh yeah, did you play? You played Red Rocks?
I did last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
last year, yeah.
Have
Not
you
this time,
been
but
to a
it was-
show?
I've played. I opened for I think I opened for Dashboard Confessional. I can't remember, but I played there. It's
People don't
amazing.
know. It's like it's in the Red Rocks in Colorado, and the sound is supposed to be really good.
And it's really high, so you run out of breath
we were
really
just
easily.
talking. I was saying I did a movie where I played. I think I was Patrick Schwarzenegger's mom in that movie. And
Oh, was he in that? The one Kevin?
Yeah.
Was it Kevin Corrigan? No, Kevin, the guy from Entourage.
yeah, he directed a movie, and so that actor from The White Lotus. I think I played his mom, which is like, I know I'm older, but am I that older? But this was one of his first jobs, and he was so sweet. And it like I feel like because I played his mom and he's doing so well, I'm like, my son.
Oh, you're proud.
Look
of
at how
him.
well
That's
he's
sweet.
doing.
Oh, that's
Are you
sweet.
watching White Lotus?
I watched season 2.
Yeah.
I watched all of it on like this one big long flight last year.
That's
I haven't-
perfect. A
yeah.
long flight watching a TV show is the way to go, I
It
heard.
was so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. But I haven't seen season 3. My mom keeps telling me about it. She really wants me to watch it.
Right.
But I just haven't had a minute
It's
a
good.
minute.
It's good.
Yeah?
There's a new one today. We got to watch it.
Ooh,
So what is like? Okay, what do we know about Nina Geraci's career? We know that you're one of the best producers currently working
Oh my
in
God,
the world,
thanks.
let
That's
alone in
crazy.
Australia. You are going to be. There are going to be artists who tap you and want to work with. It's like it's destiny, right? It's
Oh,
like
thank
I've
you.
always.
Wow.
It's like going to be like. It's just a matter of who it's going to be. Is it going to be Rihanna? Is it going to, someone's going to like get you in the studio and it's going to be incredible. But what's your vision? Like, where do you want to take this? Obviously, plans can change. The fun thing about visions is that you end up with a more interesting career than the one you would have planned on anyway. But where do you want to take it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really happy with what is happening at the moment. I'm really excited to finish my album. I've been trying to finish it for a while, but I've been traveling nonstop in a lot of different places for a while. So I think, I would like to make a really good album that I'm really proud of, and then make another one because I've already got too many songs for the first one. I'll make another one. I'd like to make Girl EDM Disc 2. That's a little while off. There's a few things. But then, I really would like to get back into producing for other people as well, because I was doing a lot of that through COVID and before, and it is really fun. I love making pop music. I was actually making pop music before I was making like any kind of EDM and stuff, or like being good at dance music and stuff. I feel like I was a pop music fan before I was an EDM fan when I was really little. So I would love to work for those kind of people again. I've just been really busy with my own things, but I love that kind of stuff.
Is
That would be
making a
cool.
pop song, I could think, I'm an outsider, I don't make pop songs, but
That's a good acknowledgement before you say this, just so we don't take it too seriously.
but I would think it would be kind of satisfying because there's a formula, and like, I don't know, I would think someone like me who turns out I like assignments, like when I was writing my memoir, I loved having it ordered and an assignment. So you have, you basically have verse, chorus, bridge, whatever. You can go a few different ways. But is there something satisfying and knowing that you have to kind of fill those slots in of like, I have to get this down? Like
Just working within a framework.
yeah. Is there something
It's funny. I would say
like problem solving?
Yeah, it's really fun on that level because the frame is pretty stable, but it also makes the failures completely soulless. Like there's something about if you're trying to make a pop song and it doesn't work, it just feels like you've sold your soul.
Yeah.
But
There's
wait,
something
why
depressing.
sold it?
I don't mean sold it. I just mean
The
it's like
failures worse.
it's because the rules are so set
yeah.
that when it doesn't work, it's really depressing.
Right, yeah, I
And
can
It's
see
like
that.
it's like you made a compromise in exchange for this thing, and then you didn't even get the thing.
Yeah, it's like it has
You know
to
what
be
I
a
mean?
hit for it actually to
I
feel
can
good.
see that.
Yeah, literally. I
But
feel
when
like
it goes well, it must be so
it's amazing,
satisfying.
yeah.
Oh my God.
yeah, definitely. I think like that's kind of part of maybe what the girl EDM thing is for me as well, because there is kind of this idea in the world about what EDM is, not even just electronic dance music or like electronic or dance music, but like EDM, like that specific acronym. You know, and it's really different in Australia and America. Like in different places, some people find it like different levels of cringe and stuff. But it is a thing that like it's kind of like pop music. Like there is kind of like a framework that already exists for that. So it's interesting. I mean, what I find interesting about it is the challenge of kind of filling in those gaps, but in a way that feels more true to my taste in 2025, I guess.
Totally.
God, now I want to do a competition of like playing stuff and seeing what's cringe or not. Not today, but one day.
Wait, what do you mean? You want someone to play you different types of EDM?
And I'll see if I know what's cringe, like because I'm not that versed in the world. Like, I wonder if my organic take on different songs would be, would be right. Well, who's the person that won? Not Skrillex, or what was Kate into that one thing that you're either into or not, and it was like really hectic.
Oh, that was like Gex.
Oh, yeah. Are you?
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. What 10,000
I'm like a
right.
I'm a
really
gang-
long time fan.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Well, that's
But
like total internet culture, isn't it? Just like
Yeah.
that was one of the first
she
things
played
that was like
10,000.
Yeah.
And my kid played that to me. And she was
Noemi
like,
Fry wrote a great article.
she was like,
about
what do
it.
you think of this? And on a total visceral, like, I'm from another generation, I was like, I love this.
Yeah, it was fun.
But I'm curious if I would have good taste or not for you guys. Anyway, so one day.
I know
but I don't
marginally
know.
more than you. I know
Yeah,
very
it'd
little
be
about
interesting if we pass the good
But
taste.
the thing is, we have great taste, so you can be exposed to
but
things
it's
you
not
don't know,
all,
and you
it's
can
not
still
across the board. It might not.
No, that's
but
true.
anyway, yeah.
So, and what about live? Is the vision? Do you want? Do you need it to be like get it to a place where every night's 10,000 people, 30, or is it like a little club's always going to be fun? Like, where do you picture the live experience going? Does it end up as like a multimedia massive thing at the Dome in Vegas?
Oh my
like,
God.
you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, where as an artist, like, where do you want to go with the live thing?
Do you like both scenarios?
Yeah, I really like both. Honestly, I think you can have I think for me the best shows are the ones where you have like a connection with people, and you know, because I don't really I don't drink, and I don't, I'm like always kind of sober at the shows, but I feel like it sounds so corny, but I feel like I'm high when it's a good show, and I just dance so much, and that kind of comes from a really nice exchange with the people when they know the songs and they're singing them and they're dancing, and that can happen with like 50 people or like 5,000, and I've like experienced both and had both be negative too. So it would be really, I mean, big shows always kind of feel amazing to play and stuff, and I really love visuals, and having a VJ at my shows is like a really important thing to me and stuff, because
so you have someone else doing that. You don't just
Yeah.
have visuals that get made or whatever that you use during the show. You have someone actively mixing visuals. live.
Yeah, whenever I
Oh.
can. I obviously I can't, especially going overseas and stuff, I can't always afford to have someone there every show, but in Australia, Tom, my partner, he's like the best VJ in the world, and yeah, so I basically like commission stuff from him and a bunch of other visual artists that I like, and then he kind of does like what I do but with visuals on his laptop. Just does it all live, and it's so good because he knows all my music so well. He's heard it all a million times, and it just makes the show so much better. So obviously doing that on like the grandest scale possible would be so sick. Like making it like a fully immersive thing, but it's also like amazing in any.
Ooh, that
it could
Vegas
be.
thing is a good idea. That new
Nina
place.
Geraci at the Dome.
Yeah.
That would
So
be
wait,
crazy.
I know when I fuck up a show, I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear, I'm singing out of tune. Something goes weird with my cables. I know what that means. What does a fuck up look like at a Nina Geraci show? In EDM, like what's a bad show? Like what can go wrong, I guess?
Sounds like when the people, if there's something off with the people, that could be a bummer too. Like if
Yeah.
someone's if they're too
Yeah, we all share that.
drunk.
Like a bad audience is a bad audience
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I guess maybe like it usually comes down to like a tech thing. I like to think I'm pretty prepared. Like I really haven't since I was like a teenager had something go wrong that was entirely my fault.
So you don't
I guess
like miss a mix or some kind of thing where
Oh,
you're like
every time.
Okay,
no,
okay.
that always happens. But doesn't feel like I don't feel like a failure if I do a bad mix. And if I do like one or two in a set, it's like I can forgive myself. More than that, it's like, come on, man, I need to get it together. But but a couple, usually people can't tell unless it's really, really bad. I'm just pretty prepared, and also because I'm playing like basically all my own music. Like for anyone who's watching this who's not like a DJ, you might be like, duh, you're playing
our
your own
audience
music,
are entirely DJs. It's all beautiful babies. They're all DJs.
Okay, sick.
In their hearts.
Yeah. Well, I guess because with DJing, it's kind of different for all different people. Like some people just DJ and they've never made an original song or like production or anything in their life and they don't want to, and that's like fully fine. That's its own thing. Like they're just like curating an hour or however long of music that other people have made and making it work seamlessly. Like that's its like whole own thing. For me, I mostly DJ because it's like the most effective format to like display the music that I've made. So when I'm playing like mostly my own. Sometimes I'll play like a like a song by a friend or like someone else that it might be like a nice transitional moment between songs, or like it bridges this, or it just is like good kind of, they'll like it. The audience will like it if I play bangerang. So, I just kind of fit it all. But it's mostly my own music. So it's kind of, at this stage, like I'm not really making so many mistakes because I've just played this. I know the songs, I made them, and I've played them a million times. And a lot of people sometimes ask like, are you going to do like a live thing? Because there's like electronic live sets and stuff. But the way I make music is so kind of like kind of collagey. It feels like it would be I'd be reverse engineering it in order to play it live in a way that is completely different from the way I made it, which I don't know if it would make the experience of it better necessarily. I guess, sorry, maybe I'm rambling.
No,
but
that's great.
The way I think about the way I make music is maybe like editing like a sequence of like film for like a movie, and then it's like someone being like, oh, well, why don't you just like do a theater version of that? And it's like, well, I could, but it's kind of different. Do you know what I mean? I guess, yeah.
Totally. That makes sense.
Well, that feels like a perfect transition. Like part of my vision of having you on the pod was that we'd give people a little demo of your creative process. Are you up for doing that?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, sure. What do you want me to play?
Okay, so the concept here was we've set up the pod studio like a session. We've got this microphone, which is going into your computer, and we are going to kind of do what we did with the All I Am, just feed you sound. And the beautiful babies are going to get to watch you make some music.
Yeah.
So you drive the ship. Tell us what you need to start.
Okay. Well, maybe I should just record anything first to start. What would be your dream festival lineup?
Oh, I would like to see Prince and Little Richard. I would, out of curiosity, see Miley Cyrus.
I love this. Eclectic.
That's me, eclectic. And I would see Oasis and Stevie Wonderful. I love Stevie Wonder because he's wonderful.
Cool. We got something.
All right.
So there's some audio here now. I just love this software so much. You really can make anything out of anything. So this is now like your voice. There. Epic. And then you can like even that's like mildly musical. That's like a you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I just like to get stuff out of it.
Yeah, we're ready.
I'm just gonna like tune it to like a note because it might be like a microtone. Okay, that's like pretty good. Okay, that's a C.
Okay.
That's a C.
Yeah, it is.
Can I record that in?
Yeah. Let's
Okay,
go.
cool.
I'll give you some guitar.
Really. if I put it in here.
And this is entirely just Ione's voice and my guitar at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, good. So if I can make something like
let's do another layer.
Yeah. I think also maybe something like, this is very staccato. Maybe we could stretch something.
Okay.
And, make it like a texture. Could be
Okay,
cool.
let's try that.
Yeah,
Let's do. Okay.
Oh, this is really fun. Thanks, guys. This is
keep it
sick.
going. Beautiful babies. Together we're weirder. We're weirder together.
Perfect. Even like those kind of like little movements sound like really cool.
The cool thing about Nina is you can say stupid stuff or play bad things and you know she's going to turn it into something cool. So you're in good hands.
I actually think it's kind of more fun when it is bad or whatever, you know, because it's just so cool about this. You can just make anything. Sometimes even if you record something that's in between notes or like, that's why it's so cool to sample like talking voices, because you can just force it to kind of be. Yeah. So this is like stretched and then consolidated and then stretched again. And I mean, you can see it behind me, consolidated, stretched again. So now it's like you will hardly even be able to hear that it's you talking. It's got like effects and stuff on it to make it sound more. It sounds amazing. It's so pretty. Whoa, I've actually never done this before. This is like real-time discovery for me. This actually sounds...
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Really
you want to have some Ione do some ASMR on the microphone?
Yeah, we can try it. Yeah, so it's kind of got like the like mild feedback, which is cool.
Mwah.
We'll do it without the sound.
Okay. Oh yeah.
There's nothing so far that's not just like this is kind of like, how the song started at your house. There's nothing in here yet that's like not a bit of like your voices and guitar and stuff like that.
Amazing.
We're going to keep the dance party going. Beautiful babies, this has been Ninajirachi on Weirder Together podcast. Just some old heads raving back here.